Hey guys, I am coming to you today from Seattle, the Pacific Northwest. It is a beautiful day out today, and I wanted to make a video in regards to the Chris Watts case. I have pretty much seen, watched, read everything out there that there is on this case, and today I just wanted to go over a specific part. I don't want to kind of go all over the place because it's just a whole messy situation to begin with. So today I kind of want to just cover the last interview that he did in Wisconsin. And I just wanted to go over all the things that Chris said that kind of implicated someone else, an accomplice, whether it be subconsciously or inadvertently. Either way, there are several different things that he said that might make you question. So I just wanted to go over all of these things and then kind of leave it up to you guys to give your opinions. I also have a guest here with me today, a friend, Brandy, who she'll come in later. You could say hi, Brandy. Hi. And she's going to kind of converse with me on different points of this and kind of give her opinion. It's kind of nice to have somebody here to talk to. We can kind of, feed off each other, give each other our opinions, and I kind of want to stray away from theories, stick very matter-of-factly, and yeah, so here we go. The first thing, and sorry, I'm going to be looking at notes too, so Graham, asked Chris, did you know that day that you were going to do what you did? And he says, did I know what I was going to do that before I got on top of her? He says, no. And Graham says, well, that's an interesting thought, Chris. You didn't know if you were going to, okay? So he says right there, he says, I got on top of her. I didn't know. I just was going to have a talk with her and had no intentions of killing her. But then in the very next breath, he says, it just feels like, I don't want to say I had to, it just felt like there was already something implanted that I was going to do it when I woke up that morning, and it was going to happen, and I had no control over it, okay? He then, a few breaths later, he says, like my head, like in the back of my head, I knew it was going to happen, just like at the end of the conversation, it happened. So here we are, this just typical Chris. He says one thing and then contradicts himself just moments later. Graham had just asked him and said that was an interesting thought. You didn't know that you were going to do it, and now you're saying it was already implanted in your head. It was basically, something you knew you were going to do, and you had to execute it in, a certain matter of time. And then Tammy says, did Shanann fight back? Why did she not fight back? And he says, I don't even want to know what she was thinking when she looked back at me. See, right there it's very important to hear, because he says looked back at her. So if she were to be lying on her back, like he has said, and he was straddling over her, why would she have to look back at him? Okay, so follow me there. So something there, my theory, which I'm not even going to get into at this point, but I believe, she was on her stomach and whatever, but it would make sense why he says look back. He says, maybe she was praying. He says, I was reading a Bible and I found a scripture. It says, forgive these people, for they do not know what they do. So everything I'm going to be going over today is just like that. It's him kind of saying someone else, whether, like I said, inadvertently or subconsciously, he keeps going back to. And in fact, in this interview, there's over 13 different, for instances, where he says something else, you know, I had no control, you know, whatever and whatnot. Okay, so, let's see. Did we already say implanted in his head? Did we go over that part?
I think so.
Okay, so, then he says, you know, I couldn't let go. Like somebody else, like if you pictured somebody else around you holding your hands, holding you, keeping you there from letting go. Well, I mean, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? It really shows in really the whole interview that he would start to say something and then realize what he was saying and kind of turn it around, manipulate it, go off on some other tangent, you know, trying to not talk about, you know, giving a direct answer. He says, I wasn't in control of what I could think or do at that point in time, which is interesting. Graham then is accounting the events and kind of what had happened after he had killed Shanann, and when Bella walked in, and him getting Shanann out to the truck. So he's asking him, he says, okay, so now Shanann's in the truck, now what? And Chris's reply says, got everyone back in the truck. Think about that. Got everyone back in the truck. Well, right before that, they're already saying Shanann's in the truck, and now he's saying he got everyone back in the truck. Well, first, there's two things. One, back in the truck, which would imply that someone had already been in the truck, was out, and got back in the truck. And the second part of that is, why would he say got everyone in the truck? If it was the girls, he would have said, I got the girls in the truck, or I got my daughters in the truck. Saying everybody kind of implies that there was somebody other than the girls, you know, because we had already made it a point, and he said that Shanann was already in the truck. He says, I don't know, like I said. It was like something else was controlling me that day. I had no control over what I was like. Then he pauses and he says, like had no control to fight back. You had no control to fight back. Fight back against what? Yourself? I mean, that doesn't make sense. It sounds like he's, you know, talking about trying to fight back against somebody else who, against his better judgment, allowed them to take control of the situation, which we'll get into when he says something along those lines. And then Graham starts talking about, you know, if Chris had planned on, you know, taking his own life that day too. And he says, you know, that would make sense to me, you know, if you guys were all going to go together. You know, that's what a family man does. And Chris's reply was, a family man doesn't do what he did. Why he? Why not me? Family man doesn't do what I did. You know, it's just, it gets you thinking when you look at all the different things that he said that kind of, you know, bring the thought that there was definitely an accomplice. He says, I didn't have control over the situation. The situation controlled me. Again, right there saying that somebody else is the mastermind of all this and he's just along for the ride. He even said that. He said, this is like a Ferris wheel or a roller coaster or whatever that I keep on punching the ticket onto and I can't get off the ride. Which brings that into his date that night with the credit card and all of that. And he says, you know, I wish I would have gone to that Broncos game. The Lord gave me many opportunities to get out. He said, you know, that was my last chance to get out. That was my last chance. Basically, if he went, that was past the point of no return, and there was no looking back. So leads me to believe that, you know, before or after their dinner, maybe before, that they had some plans they were going over, who knows. And then, you know, the saddest part, he says, couldn't I have just saved my girl's life? Couldn't I have done something? Why did I? I don't know. Like, this is my flesh and blood. This is what, like, I wanted all my life, was to be a dad. And to have the kids. They love me. Nothing made sense. Like the oil tanks. Nothing made sense about this at all. So, you know, it's just, you guys tell me what you think. You know, it's just one interview, and he just, it's like he would start to say something and kind of change it. Oh, the other thing as well is about his tools. He said, we had a shovel, blah, 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 blah. And when he realized he said we, he has to end that with, well, everybody at work, that's, you know, the tools we get. That's not what you meant, dude. You realize you said something you shouldn't have, and then you go to correct yourself, which he did many times. And there was other for instances as well, but I just kind of wanted to go over the main ones. So I'm just curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on all of this. That's pretty much the gist of it. Maybe we should just make another video where we can have an open dialogue and go over. I do want to do another video about symbolism and all the different things that were symbolic or could have been symbolic to what happened and following NK and, you know, the whole thing. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope we can discuss this and have an open dialogue together, and I hope you guys have a great day.